What's good, everyone? So in today's video, I just had a pretty hot Monday. It's very hot right now, but it's not that bad. Everyone's complaining in the UK how hot it is right now, but it's not that bad, honestly. Apart from that, just had a weekly call with one of my clients and had a sales call today. So one of the things I wanted to make this video about was the weekly call. And what this video is going to be about predominantly is when you're being uncertain or procrastinating about your business. The things we were breaking down and dissecting was the fact he was feeling very uncertain about and had this fear of just had this fear of, if I start posting content, what if it doesn't do well? What if the quality isn't there? What if I don't know if I'm doing it right? And I want to address that because that's something I went through when I was starting out on my personal branding journey, on my entrepreneurship journey, growing both my agency and my coaching business. Because I don't know if you guys know, I used to run an agency before I transitioned into coaching. And before you ask how did it go, it went horribly wrong. I wouldn't say wasted, but I learned a lot in these 1.5 years. 1.5 years was when I was running the agency and didn't get any clients, didn't get anywhere, but I wouldn't trade it for anything else. Then when I transitioned into coaching, teaching other people a skill, that's when things took off very, very quickly. So I completely agree. I get where he's coming from, and I'm sure you've probably went through it or you're going through it right now. So some mental frameworks in order to overcome this procrastination of putting content out there, or uncertainty, or even fear of putting yourself out there, is a couple things. I can give you the straightforward answer, I can give you the more comforting answer, and I'll just give you what helped when I first started out. So I'll give you the straightforward answer. Your ancestors were fighting off saber-toothed tigers, and you're over here a bit scared because some kid from college who you don't even speak to will make fun of your videos in front of his other friend group. That makes no sense. This just goes to show how soft we've become. And I know it just shows how soft we've become. You're just putting yourself out there, you're just putting content out there, and you're scared of what people think. And yet there's a billion other people who've had it much worse than you, have had to do worse things than you, have had to do harder things than you, started from worse positions, and they still got it done anyway. Why are you scared? You don't even know them. If it's friends and family, then just shrug it off. It's not that hard. Just shrug it off. Why do you care what they think? They're not running a business. You are. So how do you expect them to understand? How would you even listen to them? That's where that quote comes from about lions don't concern themselves with the opinion of sheep. And it's true. Because if you want to be a sheep, then you go listen to sheep. If you're trying to be a lion, if you're trying to take over, be in charge of your life, then you go listen to other lions, do what they say, listen to them, and then you cut out the noise. You're over here scared because some kid in college will say something about your videos to their friend group when you've never even talked to them before. It's so weird. And that was me. When I was in college, I was always on edge about what other people would think about me and my videos, and if they found out about my business. But it's just something I had to get over, because there's really only two paths you can take. There's path A is where you keep going down, keep doing what you're doing, unsatisfied with your business, still have the same fears and limiting beliefs you have that are holding you back from becoming rich and successful. Or you go to path B, where, okay, it's uncomfortable in the short term, people might find out, people might have something to say, but if I keep pushing, if I'm consistent, I'm going to have my big break, I'm going to get clients, and I'm going to be successful. Now what are they going to say? In the long term, it's all good, it's all fine and glamorous, and that's exactly the path you want to take. Always pick the long term, and this leads me on to my second mental framework. Is just short term versus long term. You got to pick your path of suffering, because as I said before, as I said again, there's really only two ways this can go. You can go A, you keep doing what you're doing, and you just have to accept the pros and cons that come with doing what you're doing, continuing that, or path B, where you decide to change. You also have to accept the pros and cons of it. In the short term, it's gonna suck by putting yourself out there and putting your face out there. Maybe your videos aren't going to be very good in the beginning, or your copywriting is not going to be very good in the beginning, and that's normal because you just started out. How do you expect to be good at riding a bike if you've only rode it twice? If you're only taken 2 shots at it, how do you expect yourself to be good? Same thing goes with business. So you're going to suck in the beginning, but you just have to get used to it, show up, and I hate to sound very cliche, but it's true. You only get better with reps and time. And then that leads to the long term, where you've finally gotten good, you finally got some engagement, things are picking up with your business, with your content, and your personal brand. Now people are starting to notice, you're not getting clients, you're getting more calls, and you're making more money. And now, what does that mean? Well, now you have the money, you go do what you want with it. You can take your parents to a nice holiday. You can buy yourself a nice car. You just help more people. You've helped your clients sign other clients if you're the business consultant, if you're in the business coaching space. You've moved out of your apartment, moved out of your house, you moved out of your parents' house. All these things that money can grant you. Money's a tool. And the last mental framework I've adopted is knowing for a fact that there are people worse off than me who yet have made it further than me. They started off in worse positions on the chessboard, but they made it work. Does that make sense? For example, while I'm over here complaining 2 years ago, 3 years ago, about how I don't know how to post on Instagram, I don't know what content to post on LinkedIn to get the most engagement so that I can get more calls booked. While I'm over here complaining about that, Jeff Bezos had to start in his little office, his cramped little office, starting up Amazon, which wasn't even really an e-commerce store in the first place. I mean, and I'm talking the general e-commerce store. He started off selling books, and if you type in Amazon before, or Jeff Bezos before he got rich, you will see that he started in a nice little cramped office, and he was only selling books. Same thing with Steve Jobs. I think it was Steve Jobs. He started his business in a garage with his best friend, Steve Wozniak. So, it just goes to show how people have started on worse places on the chessboard and yet have made it work. And you're over here complaining about how you're too scared to, or you don't know what piece of content to post. There's one thing I want you to do this week. I want you to put out your first piece of content, second piece of content, third piece of content. Just get the ball rolling, okay? Because it's easy once you have that momentum. Of course it's hard in the beginning. Of course it's hard where you're standing now because you haven't got the ball rolling, you have no momentum. The key here is momentum. We're trying to build momentum in the beginning. That's all we're looking for. So do whatever it takes to build that momentum, and I promise it's going to get easier and easier every single time you make a piece of content and put it out there. I hope you enjoyed this video, and again, if you're serious about booking more calls for your coaching business, consulting business this month, trying to get these calls in, hack out your calendar. Links in the description, book a call with me, and I'll see you in the next video.